Son, listen carefully, because I need to tell you something you may never have heard so clearly before. The answer you cried for. Yes, the one you begged for with a wet face and a broken heart. I have already released, but you're about to do something that could ruin everything. You're about to ignore the one person I chose to bring you what you've been waiting for. You are confusing appearances with direction. You are expecting my action to come with brilliance, with pomp, with a loud sound that shakes the heavens. But I came in silence. I came in simple gestures. I came in the one you almost despised. I came in the one you did not expect. And now I speak to you urgently. If you continue to be guided by your expectations, you will pass right through the door I opened, and you will only realize it when it is too late. My son, you still don't understand how attached your heart is to form. You asked me for a miracle, and I delivered it. But you expected a prophet. I sent someone ordinary. You expected a grand sign. I used the improbable. And because it doesn't resemble what you imagined, you risk ignoring what I myself have placed in your path. Today, I have brought you here for one reason only: to prevent you from making the mistake that could delay your blessing. You have waited too long, you have prayed too much. You have cried in secret for nights on end. I saw, I heard, and I answered. But now, you need to open the eyes of your heart and discern with your spirit what your carnal eyes do not recognize. It's no coincidence that you're here. It's mercy. It's warning. It's deliverance. Now, take a deep breath, because what I'm going to reveal to you next will make you see the truth behind the silence and understand why you still feel this emptiness even after you have prayed so much. Brace yourself, son. What's coming next will touch the most hidden part of your heart. And if this message has already begun to speak to something inside you, if at some point you feel that it is me reaching you, then stay with me until the end. And if it makes sense in your spirit, subscribe to the channel and leave your like, not as someone who just watches, but as someone who says in silence, Lord, I receive, and I choose not to ignore your action. Son, I know how hard it's been. I know that even when no one sees you, you keep insisting on believing. There are days when you smile on the outside, but inside you're exhausted, powerless, trying to understand why the answer hasn't yet arrived as you imagined. You've done everything you can, prayed, fasted, cried out in the silence of the dawn. And yet, you feel something is still missing, as if there were an invisible barrier between you and what you expect from me. And that's exactly why I'm here now, speaking directly to you, because your heart has sincerely sought me, even amidst the confusion, fear, and disappointment that have accumulated over time. You trusted people who betrayed you. You helped those who turned their backs. You remained silent when you deserved an explanation. And yet you continued to bend your knees, believing that heaven hears you. And I tell you now, yes, I heard. I saw it all. Not a tear was wasted. Not a sigh of pain went unnoticed by me. You may have even grown accustomed to the silence, thinking I was absent. But silence was never absence, child. Silence was preparation. It was healing. It was protection. I silenced your soul so you wouldn't hear the wrong voices. I closed some doors not to punish you, but to keep you from entering places that would destroy the promise I was building in secret. You thought you were being forgotten, but in truth, you were being shaped, hidden, and guarded until the exact moment the answer could arrive, and you were ready to recognize it. The pain you felt was not in vain. That feeling of loneliness, the days you wanted to give up, the moments when no one reached out to you when you needed me most. I was there for all of it. I was there behind the scenes of your story, preparing something bigger than your eyes could ever imagine. And now, the time has come when I decided to open your spiritual eyes to something you have not yet realized. The answer is already close by, but you have almost ignored it. You're on the edge between losing and receiving, between understanding and resisting, and I can't allow you to move on without first seeing what I'm about to show you. Because, son, you're past the point of making mistakes. Again, not after everything you've already endured. Now stay with me, because in what I'm going to tell you next, you're going to understand why this word is exactly what you've been waiting to hear for so long, and why it came at this time. You will realize that what seemed like a delay was actually a preparation for something much bigger. Can I ask you something honest? Have you also been feeling that tightness in your chest for no reason, that invisible weight that stays with you even when everything seems normal? If this has been happening to you, comment here. I feel this all the time, because perhaps this symptom isn't emotional, it's spiritual. And today, heaven wants to show you why. Son, don't think even for a second that this message reached you by chance. I, the Lord your God, have guided every detail of your day to this very moment. It was my hand that directed you. It was my spirit that stirred your heart, and it was my voice that whispered deep within your soul. Watch this now. You may have thought you stumbled upon this video by coincidence, that you clicked on impulse, or that perhaps you were simply looking for something to ease the burden of your soul for a few minutes. But my child, none of this was accidental. It was supernatural. And you need to understand this urgently. I know your weariness, but more than that, I know your thirst. You've been searching for a word that comes directly from my heart to yours. You've longed to hear something. That isn't just a repetition of empty phrases, something that isn't just superficial comfort, but rather a living, intense, and personal confirmation that I'm still in control, that it's still worth continuing to believe. And that's exactly what this message carries, a heavenly confirmation that I have heard your cry, because it was when you cried in that dark room, asking for direction, pleading for a clear answer, that my spirit marked this hour. You asked, Lord, speak to me in a way I understand, without doubt, without confusion, without noise. And here is my answer. It's coming with weight, with clarity, with truth. It's coming from me, and it's coming now. This message was meant for you, not for someone next to you, not for someone else in your family, not for whoever shared the link, but for you, only you. Because only I know what you've been going through in silence. Only I know the thoughts that cross your mind in the wee hours of the morning. Only I understand the conflicts no one else sees. So stop doubting the connection we have here. This is real, this is spiritual, this is divine. Son, I have brought you here because I know you are at a crucial point in your journey. And what you will hear next, if you allow it to enter your heart with faith, can completely change the way you see pain, waiting, and even the people who have crossed your path in recent days. Because I, the Lord, have hidden your answer in an unlikely place. And if you ignore it, you may lose everything you have prayed for so long. So open your heart now, because in what I'm going to reveal to you next, you'll realize that the answer you thought hadn't arrived. It was already closer than you thought, but stuck behind an action you hadn't taken yet. Can I ask you, with a sincere look in my eyes, have you also been going through that phase where it seems like you're doing everything right, but inside you feel exhausted, like you're pushing life with your soul at its limit? If this has been your struggle, comment here. This is me going through there, because sometimes just knowing that someone understands, the strength starts to return. Son, listen carefully. The answer you've been waiting for has already been released from heaven. It's not in transit. It's not under analysis. It's not distant. It's already been decreed. And I need you to understand this once and for all. Because while you continue to wait for something spectacular, grand, surrounded by visible signs, I've already placed before you the seed of the miracle, and you run the risk of dismissing it because it didn't come in the form you expected. You asked for deliverance, and I sent someone with simple advice. You asked for restoration, and I sent someone who seemed frail but held the key to reconciliation. You cried out for provision, and I touched the heart of someone you thought was helpless. You prayed with tears, and I answered with details. But your pride, your silent demands, your expectations didn't let me finish what I started. This promise, my son, is not far away. It is within your reach, but it takes humility to recognize it. I hid the answer within someone you considered too small, and I did it on purpose, because I wanted you to learn to discern with your heart, not just your eyes. I wanted you to learn that the supernatural does not always come shrouded in light, but often reveals itself in the ordinary, and only those with spiritual eyes can perceive it. I didn't disappoint you. I just changed the scenery. I didn't say no, I just taught you to trust even when everything seems contrary. You've looked around and said, "Lord, I don't see anything happening." And I answer you now, you didn't see it because you were expecting something that resembled your desires. But I don't act according to your molds. I act according to my purpose. Son, this is why I awaken you today. Because there is someone you have ignored. Someone I have placed close to you. Someone who, with a simple act, carries the answer you so desperately asked me for. And if you remain blind, stuck in form, tied to pride, this person will pass. They will move away. And with them, what I had prepared to release into your life. But if you open yourself up now, if you say, "Lord, I accept that it comes your way and not mine," I will unlock what was locked. I will light what seemed extinguished. I will restore what seemed forgotten. Now, breathe. Because what I'm going to tell you next could be the explanation you've been looking for this constant feeling of delay, loss, and silence. You will understand why, until today, everything seemed stuck, and why I chose to act exactly like this. Son, it is I, your Father, the Most High, the one who knows you better than you know yourself, the one who was with you when no one else was, the one who saw your worth when everyone else hurried past, judging by appearances, measuring your flaws, labeling your journey, but without knowing what was inside your heart. I always knew, I always saw, I was always there. Today I speak directly to you because you need to hear this from my mouth. You need to remember who you are in me. You need to understand that you are not forgotten, abandoned, or outside of my plans. Everything you've been through, everything you've faced, every tear that fell, every door that closed, none of it was in vain. I've been writing a story with my own finger, and this story doesn't end in frustration. It doesn't end in pain. It doesn't end in silence. It continues, and it continues with victory, with transformation, with a promise fulfilled. But to do that, you must obey, you must trust, you must stop trying to control how I act. Because, son, I am not limited by your expectations. I am not bound by human logic. I don't need to explain my ways to you. What you need is to trust that I know the end from the beginning, and that even when everything seems out of place, I'm still in charge of every detail. You asked me for answers and I gave you signs. You prayed for confirmation, and I sent people with words that resonated exactly with you. You cried out for direction, and I closed paths that would only distance you from my best. And yet so many times you resisted. You insisted on doing it your way. You tried to force doors that I myself locked out of love. Because yes, I love you so much that I didn't allow you to enter places that would destroy your essence. Today, I need you to know the person you are ignoring carries something that comes from me. Don't look to the outside. Don't cling to the past. Don't let hurt, judgment, or spiritual pride prevent you from realizing that I can use whoever I want. I can use those who have disappointed you. I can use those you didn't expect. I can use the unlikely to release what you long for. It was like that with David, when no one believed in him. It was like that with Joseph, when everyone rejected him. It was like that with Jesus himself, when they said that no good thing could come from Nazareth. Son, do not reject what I have sent, just because it does not look like what you imagined. The blessing is there, hidden, yes, but real, alive, ready to be revealed if you have the courage to see with your spirit, not your natural eyes. You've been saying you're tired, that you don't know what to believe anymore, that praying doesn't seem to make a difference. But I tell you, it's not that prayer doesn't work. It's that you've gotten used to expecting results your way, in your own time, with your own rules. And I, my son, I do not act under human orders. I act with love, purpose, and eternal vision. When you can't see what's happening, I'm working in the unseen. When you think you've lost, I'm preparing a new beginning greater than you dreamed. Today I give you a choice. Yes, because there is a decision to be made. You can continue to look with your natural eyes, stuck in what frustrated you, in what you think should have happened. Or you can open yourself, humble yourself before my will and say, Father, even if it doesn't make sense, I accept what comes from you. Even if it's not what I expected, I receive the answer in your way. And if you do this, if you surrender now with sincerity, with humility, with faith, I will unlock what is held back. I will kindle what seemed extinguished. I will restore what seemed lost. I will transform what seemed irreversible. Because nothing, absolutely nothing, is impossible for me. And do you know why? Because I am the Most High, your Father, your source. And what I promised you, I will fulfill it myself, even if I have to use the unexpected to do so. Son, everything I have told you so far is not based on mere words or fleeting feelings. What you are hearing now has a basis, a root, a foundation in my word, and everything I say I confirm in the scriptures. For I am not a man that I should lie, nor a son of man that I should repent. When I promise, I do it. When I speak, I do it. Today I want to remind you of a story you may have read but haven't yet seen with the eyes of the Spirit. I want you to look at Naaman, yes, that leprous commander, honored before men, full of status, but sick inside. He too sought me. He too wanted an answer. He too expected a miracle. But, like you, he had an idea in his head of how I should act. He thought the prophet would come to him, make an impressive gesture, invoke my name theatrically, and that the healing would come with a spectacle. But I didn't want the spectacle. I wanted the brokenness. I wanted to teach him that a miracle does not depend on scenery, nor on ego, nor on public recognition. A miracle depends on obedience. When Elisha told him to dip 7 times in the Jordan River, a simple, dirty, common river, Naaman was offended. He thought it was unworthy. He thought it was too small for someone of his standing. And he almost went home sick, not because the miracle wasn't available, but because his pride prevented him from receiving it. It was only when he gave in. It was only when he humbled himself. It was only when he chose to trust, even without understanding, that the skin was restored. The leprosy disappeared, and what was impossible before men became reality because someone chose to obey even without understanding. Son, I tell you this today because you are faced with the same dilemma. You are faced with something that seems too small, too strange, too unlikely. And yet, it is exactly this instrument that I chose to release the healing, the answer, the breakthrough that you so long for. Don't let spiritual pride or past disappointments make you despise what comes from me. Because what I send doesn't always come wrapped in comfort. Sometimes what saves comes disguised as confrontation. Sometimes my voice comes through those you don't consider. And if you have the courage to dive 7 times, 7 times in humility, 7 times in faith, 7 times in obedience, you will see emotional, spiritual, and relational leprosy being removed from your life. For I am the same God of Naaman, and I continue to use the simple to confound the wise, the improbable to shame the logical, the hidden to manifest the eternal. Now keep this in your heart, because in what I will reveal next, you will understand what has been trying to stop you from recognizing what I have already released about your story. And most importantly, you will discover how to overcome this before it's too late. Son, now that you understand that the answer has been released and that it is closer than you imagine, I need to show you what has been preventing you from recognizing and receiving it fully. And no, it's not a lack of faith. You believe, you still pray, you still bend your knees, you still tell yourself that you believe in me. But there's something deeper going on. An invisible battle has been raging within your heart, a war between what you hope for and what I'm trying to reveal. What has been blocking you is not silence, but the noise of your own assumptions. You created such a specific picture of what God would do that everything that deviates from this mold seems strange, irrelevant, or even unworthy of your attention. And that's exactly where the enemy has been operating. He hasn't been driving you away with scandalous sin. He's been distracting you with misaligned expectations. He's been distorting your perception, making you see what comes from me as commonplace or unimportant. The enemy, cunning as he is, doesn't just want you to doubt me. He wants you to ignore what I do. He wants you to look at the people I send as if they were inconvenient. He wants you to distrust simple instruction, a discreet word, a humble gesture that carries heaven behind it. Because he knows that if he can keep you trapped in pride, resentment, or spiritual perfectionism, he can prevent you from living what I have already determined from the heights of my throne. That's why, even after so many prayers, you still feel stuck like you're circling the same mountain. It's not because I don't want to get you out of there. It's because, for me to take you further, you need to learn to discern with maturity. You need to understand that what seems small today can carry an entire destiny within, that the simple advice you disregarded yesterday might be the key you begged for in your late-night cries. Son, listen to this carefully. The enemy is trying to blind you, spiritually using your own wounds as a filter. He knows you were betrayed. He knows you trusted the one who abandoned you. He knows you helped the one who turned their back on you. He knows all of this, and that's exactly why he tries to whisper that you shouldn't open your heart to anyone anymore, that you should close yourself off, protect yourself, isolate yourself emotionally from anything that seems too vulnerable. But today, I tell you, this is not protection. This is prison. Because the blessing I have prepared for your life will not come from a place where you feel in control. It will come from a place where you need to trust again, allow yourself again, look with eyes of faith and not distrust. You need to win this silent war within yourself, this war between the fear of getting hurt and the desire to be healed, this tension between I need to and I don't want to go through this again. Son, I'm not asking you to trust people. I'm asking you to trust me, even when I use people you wouldn't choose. Because in the end, it's not about them, it's about your ability to obey, to discern, to move forward without allowing the past to continue dictating your future. The battle is not against flesh and blood. It is against thoughts, strongholds, and arguments that rise up within you against the knowledge of my will. And today, now, at this very moment, I am tearing down these strongholds, I'm breaking down these resistances, I'm undoing that dirty filter that was preventing you from seeing clearly. And I tell you, open your heart, open your eyes, because the answer you cried out for is about to manifest, but only if you're willing to win this war within yourself. Now, take a deep breath and listen carefully to what comes next, because the time has come for you to position yourself spiritually with active faith and declare with your mouth what you need to release with your heart. And that is what I will lead you to do in the next moment. Son, now that you have heard everything I have revealed, the time has come to take a step further. It is not enough to simply listen. It is not enough to simply feel. You must take a stand. You must open your mouth, activate your spirit, surrender your heart, because it is at this moment that faith ceases to be merely a silent hope and becomes a living, firm, bold attitude, one that moves heaven, that breaks chains, that unlocks what has been locked for so long. I call you now to a spiritual decision, and it is not just any decision. It is a prophetic act, a movement that, though simple to human eyes, carries power before me. Because when you declare in faith, you agree with my decrees, and when there is agreement between your spirit and my will, nothing can prevent the fulfillment of what I have planned for you. So I want you to repeat these words with an open heart, with reverence, with surrender, not just with your lips, but with your whole soul. Say it like this: Lord, I acknowledge that your voice has reached me. I have heard. I understand. I repent of having limited you to my expectations. And today, with humility, I decide to trust your ways, even when I don't understand your methods. I choose to obey, even if it seems strange. I choose to open my spiritual eyes to see the answer you have already sent. I renounce pride, hardness, and the fear of being frustrated again. I declare that I accept your answer, even if it comes from someone I never imagined. I receive what is yours, in your way, in your time, with a heart free to obey you. Son, when you pray this prayer, something moves in the spiritual world, because what was once held back by internal blockages now begins to loosen. What was shrouded in fog now begins to clear. And what you thought was lost begins to resurface, because obedience opens paths where anxiety only creates walls. You're not just repeating words to the wind. You're agreeing with heaven. And every time heaven finds someone on earth willing to align, miracles happen, paths open, hearts are healed, broken bonds are restored, and long-requested answers finally come to light. Now be silent for a moment, because what I have to show you in the next moment involves something too profound to be ignored. You need to know, what I revealed today was not everything. There's more, something that's directly connected to your home, and I need you to be ready to receive. Son, before I release you, I must warn you. What I have revealed so far is only the beginning. Yes, I have shown you that the answer has arrived. Yes, I have guided you to overcome spiritual blindness. Yes, I have led you to declare in faith that you accept my will, even if it comes unexpectedly. But now, I must reveal to you something that is beyond yourself, something that involves your home, your family, your lineage. Do you think this video was just a personal word, an individual healing, an awakening of faith for your journey? No, son. What you experienced here is the beginning of a much greater spiritual alignment. There's something happening behind the scenes. There are movements being made in the invisible. There are answers being sent not only to you, but to those who sleep under the same roof. What heaven began to release into your life now extends to an even more sensitive territory. Your family structure, your bonds, your cycles, your legacies. You have been raised as a spiritual sentinel of your home, and even if no one recognizes you as such, even if they look at you and say, "You're just another one," or "You're not prepared," I see what I have placed within you, because it was in silence that I forged you. It was in rejection that I empowered you. It was in the moments when you thought of giving up that I breathed the strength to continue. And now the time has come for me to reveal to you the depth of your calling. You need to understand that there is a war raging in the atmosphere of your home, a silent struggle for minds, emotions, and destinies. And what I'm about to show you could be the difference between deliverance and tragedy, between a blessing released and an inheritance that will be wasted. There is something in your family that needs to be corrected, healed, and reconnected to my plan. A link has been broken. A cycle needs to be broken. A spiritual gap needs to be closed. And you will be the instrument. You will be the bridge. You will be the channel. But to fulfill this mission, before you act, you need to know what is hidden. There's a spiritual influence operating in a sneaky way. There are behaviors that repeat themselves generation after generation without anyone questioning them. There are pains that have been normalized, words that have become repeated curses, unconscious pacts made in moments of pain. And all of this has echoed within the walls of your home like an invisible weight, draining strength, undermining faith, cooling love, blocking achievements. And perhaps you've tried to resolve it with advice, with trickery, with rational arguments, but nothing has changed. Because what's at work is spiritual, and spiritual battles are not won with human strength, but with discernment, prayer, and revelation. You sense something is wrong. You realize that even trying to maintain peace, the atmosphere carries a constant heaviness, that conversations easily turn to conflict, that the spiritual climate constantly oscillates between oppressive silence and emotional noise. There's a coldness in relationships, an absence of peace that can no longer be ignored. And even if no one else talks about it, you feel it. Inside you, there's a restlessness, a feeling that something greater is lurking behind it, as if the invisible is trying to warn you. And it is. I'm opening your eyes. I'm awakening your spiritual perception. I'm awakening the gift of discernment so that you can see beyond words, beyond behaviors, so that you understand that there are spiritual seeds being planted within your home, some for life, some for death. And that is why the next video is more than a continuation. It's a game changer. My son, do not ignore this call. Do not underestimate this transition. What I am about to reveal requires maturity, focus, and sensitivity. You will encounter profound truths, stories that seemed forgotten, behaviors that carry spiritual codes, and old pains that need to be exposed to the light of revelation. And all of this will not be to hurt you, but to free you, to free your loved ones, to free the environment to which you have been established as a spiritual guardian. You are not just a member of your family, you are a redeemer of cycles, a restorer of bonds, a restorer of promises. It was upon you that I poured the oil of resistance, intercession, and spiritual authority. And even if you don't yet know how to do all of this, I promise you, I will teach you. I will empower you. I will walk with you in this reconstruction. But the first step is to listen. It's to understand what's behind it. It's to receive the revelation with humility, with willingness, with discernment. And that's what I have prepared in the next video. Son, what will I reveal to you next? Never been said before. It's a hidden key, a strategic instruction, an answer that will unlock what for years seemed unattainable. You'll understand why certain promises never came to fruition. You'll understand why certain members of your family repeatedly make the same mistake. You'll understand why every time a milestone approaches, something happens and drags everything back. And when this truth is exposed, you'll be the first to break this pattern. You'll be the first to say, thus far. Now, in the name of Jesus, this cycle ends. So prepare yourself, lift your spirit, silence the voices of doubt, and stay with me. Because in the next video, I'm going to show you exactly what's behind all of this. And when you know, you will never see your home the same way again. This is not just a sequel. It is the beginning of a spiritual realignment that will echo for generations, and it all starts with your decision to continue. Son, we've reached the end of this conversation, but not the end of what I'm doing within you. This message you heard today wasn't ordinary content. It was an eternal seed planted directly in your spirit. Every word that entered your ears, every truth that burned in your heart, every tear you held back or let fall, all of this is now being harvested in heaven, as part of something greater that you don't yet fully understand. And I want you to guard it zealously. This message will not be lost. It will grow within you. It will echo when you are silent, and it will rise up in the moments when you think about giving up. You are mine, and that is exactly why I came to speak to you today. Not to accuse, not to pressure you, but to remind you, with all the strength of my love, that you are not alone, nor without direction, nor lost as the enemy tried to make you believe. Your life has value. Your pain has a purpose. And the time you are living now is under the absolute control of my hands. I know that sometimes you feel afraid. I know that even hearing words like these, a part of you still doubts whether you are worthy, whether you are capable, whether you will be able to continue. But today I say to you with all the authority of my throne, you have not been forgotten. You will not be left behind, and you will not lose what I have released into your life if you continue walking with me in obedience. So breathe, quiet your heart, and let my peace now envelop you like a cloak. Receive it as an invisible embrace from heaven, as a hand on your shoulder, as the assurance that your name is still written on the palms of my hands. No force in this world can erase what I have marked with my love. Son, I bless you now, with discernment, to see the answer where before there was only doubt, with courage to obey even without understanding, with sensitivity to not reject what I sent simply because it came unexpectedly, and with peace, a peace that calms the soul, aligns thoughts, and gives you the strength to move forward without looking back. Now, before you leave here, listen carefully to what I'm going to tell you. This journey does not end in this video. What I began to reveal here continues in the next word. And if you wish to remain under this spiritual covering, if you felt that I spoke to you in a direct, intimate, and personal way, then subscribe to this channel now. It's not about vanity, nor about numbers. It's because behind every video, there is a movement that carries my spirit, prepared especially for moments like this. Turn on the bell, check all notifications, and get ready because I still have a lot to tell you. And what comes next, son, will surprise you.